Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome. I'm just gonna adjust this one. Hello, my name is Marcus and welcome to a top 10 list. Not a review or anything, but a top 10 list. It's been a while since I've done these, and I kind of wanted to have a little return to doing some sort of top 10s. A few things to note: my light is back at this yellowish one. These freaking ones here. As soon as it disconnects, it's not very smart. It's very difficult. Like I tried 4 times to get it to connect. So just back to this one for now. Maybe I'll get it back. I don't know. And also, I finally have a Lord of the Rings T-shirt. I don't know why I haven't had that in me yet, but now I do. Anyways, for today's top 10 list, the what I'm counting down is the top 10 themes in board games. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to look at the board games that I have, what themes they have, and what I like most. So for example, an example of something that isn't going to be included would be Robin Hood. I really like Robin Hood. It is great stories that come from it. There's some really good movies and stuff, but it hasn't really been great board games. So whilst I loved Robin Hood, it's not going to be here. It's based on games that I do have, and mostly on like how many games do I like from there, or how much do I like the games within this theme. So let's get into it with number 10. So I probably explained pretty badly, but number 10 I'm putting in real life. And what I mean by that is these games that are based on something that is realistic or examples from real life. An example of this would of course be Holding On, The Troubled Life of Billy Kerr, a really great one really great one that takes this real life theme of you taking care of someone in the hospital. You have heat, pedal to metal, Formula 1. It is a real life event. K2, climbing a mountain. That's a real life thing. That's a thing people do in real life. So all these things that are real life adjacent. A lot of these games are quite good. They are really good, and usually this theme is easy to implement because you can go out and you can see it. If you want to make a mechanic shop into a board game, you can go to a mechanic shop and see how it works to try and implement that. So usually it's very thematic and really great. So number 10 was real life. Number 9. Number 9 is also sort of real life. I'm calling it historic. And for this one, I'm kind of thinking about something like Castle Burgundy, Castles of Tuscany, Castle Mad King Ludwig. These kind of games where they take you back in history, all the own, to a time in history. These are all like the 1700s, which is the 18th century. Always confusing with that one. But they take you back into a setting back in time. Heat actually also fits here because it's from the 1960s. And takes you back in time into this more historic setting. I think also Garfield games, the Viscounts of the West Kingdom, Chivalrous North Sea Paladins of the West Kingdom. Not necessarily real life stories, but they are historically set. Right? It's warriors and Vikings, Castle Mad King Ludwig. You are dukes of the... Actually, I think it's the 15th century. The Castle Burgundy actually straight up says, not the 17th. And of course, you know, Heat taking you back to 1960s Formula 1 racing. So these historic themes that sort of take you back into a place in time to experience something there. Not necessarily really how it was taking the Garfield games, but maybe really how it was taking for the Heat. But just taking back. Also, I like history. It's one of my favorite subjects in school as well. So it's always lovely to see these things where you can see that, okay, yes, this is based on something real, of course, with board gaming elements and maybe even some fantastical elements, what you would say, for example, with Paladins and Viscounts of the West Kingdom, for example. So, number 8, I'm calling racing. So, this is of course also Heat. I'm mentioning this quite a lot, am I not? But yeah, Heat is obviously a racing game. You've got Camel Up, you have Long Shot the Dice game, it's over there somewhere. K2 is a little bit as well, it's racing to the top of a mountain. These games which are all about getting around on a track and around a circle fastest, and some of them have these elements of betting on who goes around fastest. But again, all of them are really fun. Camel Up and the Long Shot the Dice game are sort of the same, as you're betting on something to go around quite fast, either taking over the entire game, or in Camel Up you just do it round for round. And of course Heat, you are the driver of this thing, you are trying to get over there fastest. So showing that racing doesn't necessarily just mean one thing, but it means multiple things. And that's what we're getting into now, right? It means multiple things, even though it's a very specific thing. So a lovely theme with some lovely, lovely games for it. Number 7, I'm calling transportation, and that was the best way to put in Airlines Europe or any of the ticket rides you've got as well. Tiny Railroad Empires, Mini Railroad Empires, whatever it's called. All of these ones, also Riverside, where you're going around in the boat. These games that are all about transporting around, either it's specifically transporting passengers or establishing these networks of transportation options, such as in airlines or ticket to ride. Of course, specifically transporting things like in Riverside or Mini Railroad Empires. These things where it's just about transporting, and I think it really showcases how easy it is to make great games on this one. Riverside, Mini Railroad Empires, ticket to ride, obviously. Lovely, amazing games about transporting things or people or establishing these transportation networks. So an amazing theme right there. Number 6, we're getting into something that some people might have thought would be higher, but it is right here. It is Star Wars. So Star Wars enables many great games. You have the My Duel card game down here. You have Star Wars Rebellion, and of course Star Wars deck building game, and you have the big ones, Armada and X-Wing miniatures. My issue is, of course, that the smaller games there are less of them. But other than that, I think Star Wars always enables a great theme. You also have the Pandemic Star Wars, the Clone Wars, which is so easy to implement that theme into those mechanics. So it's great, and you have this opening up for, do you want to make a cooperative game for where it is the sort of the Resistance or the Republic against the Separatists in Star Wars: The Clone Wars? Or do you want to make this dual game where you are having, Empire versus Rebellion, as in with Star Wars Rebellion, and Star Wars: The Deck Building Game? That's probably the one that uses the most. But this theme is easy to get into. It's very, popular. Many people love it. And you can love it on different angles, but I made a little play with, so it enables many great games and stuff. I must admit, Star Wars is falling a little bit further behind for me. The newest stuff I'm not as crazy about, and so it's sort of being replaced by me and what I watch and read and all of that. But it is still something that I really care about, and I still have lots of things from Star Wars, and included that is some Go board games that are fun. Number 5 is dinosaurs. I didn't know how to put it in. You could say Jurassic Park theme wise, but then you would exclude some. But it is mostly the Jurassic Park theme, right? You have the Dinosaur World, the Draftsaurus Dino World, Welcome to Dino World, which is also sort of that. And you have something like Dinosaur Tea Party and Jurassic Parts, which I think they're fine games, but the theme honestly lifts them. The fact that it is a dinosaur tea party, not just a tea party, just lifts it up, and it makes it so much more fun. Jurassic Park, you're digging in the ground. This could be you're digging for minerals. You want to find gold and diamonds, but because it's dinosaur bones, you're looking for dinosaurs. Oh, it becomes so much greater because of that. And then of course just the Jurassic Park theme and Dinosaur World, and Draftosaurus sort of have that as well. And Welcome to Dino World. It's a very stable theme. It's everywhere. You also have Dinosaur Island and Dinogenics, which I'm getting later on this year. Very excited about it. Where you are building a park full of dinosaurs, and I will mention it probably a little bit later on about zoos with regular animals, but there's something great about having dinosaurs in it. It's probably a little bit on Star Wars as well, in the fact that it's very often big games, like Dinosaur World, Dinosaur Island, Dinogenics, even the Jurassic World, a new game that came out, which is Legend, Hello, can't remember what it's called, because Legacy game, alright? Big games take a lot of time. It also comes in with Welcome to Dino World. I don't have it anymore. It was fine, right, but I'm not going to play it a lot. Jurassic Park is also fine. Dinosaur Tea Party is one that's played a lot. And again, it enhances by the fact that there are dinosaurs on it. And I think if more people take some of these smaller games without a real theme and put dinosaurs onto it, it would grow them a lot, right? I think Unstable Unicorns, if it was dinosaurs you were trying to establish something with, amazing, right? I know that Unstable Unicorns are already quite popular, but you should include dinosaurs more. Oh, happy little dinosaurs as well. Stupid little game, but because it's dinosaurs, it just becomes better. So start in dinosaurs because you can just make a game better. At number 4, I've called it number 4. I called this one brewing, but brewing is mostly for beer. And the reason that I'm sort of saying that is because this I have distilled, I have viticultured. There's vinhos, which I've tried, and of course there is the new Critter Kitchen and other stuff where you are producing the food or the drink. And I just call it brewing just because I can, but also farming, you could call it. There's harvest and agricola. I don't like agricola, but it is there as well, where you are producing the food and trying to transport it off. In something like Critter Kitchen, obviously you are in the kitchen making the food for the restaurant, or in distilled you are making the liquor that you're sending off. They're getting an expansion called cocktails, which I'm thinking is going to maybe include mixing drinks and selling those as well. And I'm putting this into the same sort of theme. I don't have really a word for it, so I call it brewing or creating the food or whatever you want to call it, but I'm putting it in here because I almost always enjoy it when that's the theme. As I said, the viticulture, vinhos, distilled, Critter Kitchen. There's also the cocktail one, which I've played once. Can't quite remember what it's called actually, but I remember really liking it. And all these games where you are the one creating the food that is going out, whether it's in the restaurant or on the fields, I almost always really like them. Agricola is the exception for me. I don't really like Agricola, but I really think this is a really interesting, great theme, because as well, if you have interest for it, right? A lot of people enjoy cooking. You can then get to Critter Kitchen and enjoy this thing of putting together flavors, which is what I really enjoy about cooking. Like, I'm not no professional chef or anything, but I do enjoy this thing of trying to create a palette of different tastes that suits me and my wife mostly, of course, but just doing something different. I don't necessarily need a recipe or something, and I think something like Critter Kitchen really brings that out. But I'm also really interested in the stronger alcohols, the production of that. Not because I'm an alcoholic or anything, but I did have a series previously on the channel some years back, where I was tasting these alcohols because I'm really interested in it. And of course, viticulture wines. I've actually got my education within stores in a wine department. I'm educated on it, so I'm really interested in these things, and they managed to really capture it in these ones in a basic way, of course, but in a really good way, and of course putting it into a really great game. So brewing, creating food, creating creationism is I guess a great theme. Number 3. So probably some would be surprised that this is number 3, but it is only number 3. Lord of the Rings. It might grow because I'm seeing more and more games come out. You have the new Duel for Middle Earth. You have the new trick-taking card game. There's stories of more coming in the future. But I think so many Lord of the Rings games are really great. And these newer games showcases that you don't need a massive War of the Ring or Lord of the Rings the card game to have it really be a really great theme and really fitting. I mean, Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth takes Seven Wonders Duel and makes it so much better by just adjusting some rules and adding a great theme in the Lord of the Rings. So I could definitely see this growing as I'm getting a hold of some more Lord of the Rings games and playing them out, and seeing that I don't need to spend 6 hours playing. I haven't played War of the Ring for 6 hours, but it's still a 3 or 4 hour game. And Lord of the Rings, the card game, can take a while as well. But these other games showcase it doesn't have to be like that. The theme can still really come out and really be present in these shorter games. So that is amazing. It'll definitely grow, but for now it is number 3 on my list, because number 1 and 2 there needs to be room for them. So number 2, anthropomorphic animals, also known as critters. I'm thinking again, Critter Kitchen is there, Everdell is there, Honey Buzz is there, Barney Kingdom is also on that, Creature Comforts, Maple Valley. All of these games here contain anthropomorphic animals, and it is so amazing to see a game which you could just have made it humans. This could just be humans, but you add in these anthropomorphic animals and work with how the animals work, right? I think that's the great thing about it, is sometimes they work right. Everdell, all the animals that have these different jobs, the undertaker or the barkeep or something, it makes sense with what animals have these jobs, right? it makes sense. They work with the actual animals to put them into the setting. And when you do that properly, I think also Creature Comforts and Maple Valley have something similar, although a little bit less because of difference in the games, but still existing. Or you just have Bunny Kingdom, which this could just be regular ass soldiers you're fighting to control the territory, but you make it bunnies, and it just elevates the game somehow. And now this has something to do with the fact that I love animals. It's my favorite thing in the world. I mean, this is my birthday wrapping paper, which has a bunch of animals on it. I love animals, and obviously my favorite game, Sularedo, is also all about animals. So by putting in these anthropomorphic animals, you are going to increase something. I also create a kitchen. That could just have been regular as humans, but you make it these anthropomorphic, idolized animals. Not idolized. I'm going to use the word fantastical again, because I can't think of anything else. And it just elevates the game from being what is a really good base game, but including with this theme, it just rises to be so much better, so much more fun. In my humble opinion, I think if you don't really appreciate animals as much as I do, it probably isn't going to do that. I mean, my friend doesn't really care for animals as much as I do, and I don't think it raises it for him so much. But for me it really does, but not as much as number one, just nature. I was tempted to just call this animals as well, actually. Just real life animals, regular animals, but so I think that's mostly what it is. You're looking again at Wingspan, Sularedo, Forest Shuffle, Barren Park, Spectacular, Meadow, Eco's First Continent. These games filled to the brim. Parks. That's why I'm calling it nature, because parks and Forest Shuffle even includes a lot of just nature as well, and Meadow a bit as well, where it does incorporate all of it and not just the animals such as Sularedo or Spectacular or even Wingspan. They do include the nature, and that's why I'm calling it nature, not just animals. This is my absolute favorite theme. It is, it is our world, basically, is what this theme is. And showcasing the world. In Meadow, you're showcasing a food pyramid, right? You've got a plant growing out the ground, you've got this thing eating the plant, this thing eating the thing that eats the plant, and this thing eating the thing that eats the plant that eats the plant, thing, right? Constantly growing up, it makes sense that the fox eats the little mouse, which eats the little grass, which grows out of the ground. It makes sense that a cat lives in the house and eats the birds that live in the house, or whatever. It makes so much sense that it's showcasing our world. You can't put it any other way. It showcases the food pyramids of our actual world. And then you have the games such as Barren Park or Sularedo, where you are creating a zoo. And I love going to the zoo and creating my own. That's basically a dream. The movie We Bought a Zoo. That's the dream. I would love to run a zoo, work in a zoo, and this is a way to live that out and have these animals building it up. And especially with the Sularedo boss expansion, where you can send them off to New York, that's something that happens in real life. We are sending them over here. Then in real life they get something back, and not in the game, but that's a game aspect. You have the Wingspan one, where again you are trying to create the perfect habitat for these birds to live in, to have babies and stuff. That's the same as Spectacular. You're trying to create a good environment for these animals, for the conservation of them. Just an all-round amazing theme for all of these for these games, to really elevate them to the other one. You can't replace these games with any other theme, and I think that's the most important one. What goes above anthropomorphic animals, and even Lord of the Rings in some aspects, and the other ones where you could make it something different. But for these ones, so many of them you couldn't. And I know that for a lot of the games down, Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and a lot of the other games down here, you probably couldn't make it something different. But a lot of them you could. And the importance list is, for why they are on this list, is because if you change the theme, you make the game worse. But for the nature one here, the reason that it's here is because so many of these games, you couldn't just change the theme. You couldn't. It would make the games worse. If Meadow was the star system, right? The universe. I don't think it would be as good as if it was just the nature of our planet. Wingspan, they have changed it up to Finspan and Wormspan, and I don't see those themes as enticing as Wingspan, because Wingspan was so well worked all the way throughout in its theming. So, and Spectacular, you could make an area with something different, but I don't think it would be as good. I really think that for these games it's super important that they are nature animal themed. And therefore theme is my number one, and nature / animals is my number one favorite theme in board gaming that exists. Is there any, so the last little thing I would put in, is there any themes I would wish had some better games for them? Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, you have Robin Hood. I mentioned in the first part, I don't think there's many good Robin Hood games. There's one Adventures of Robin Hood thing, but it takes a app, and you know, I respect making that. That's the game you want to make, but I just don't want to play with an app. That's me. That's how I feel like it. There's Donald Duck. You do have Donald Duck and Happy Camper over here. I think it's a really brilliant game, which puts through with a good theme and makes it feel like that. But I think there's so many possibilities with the Donald Duck / DuckTales theme that is just waiting to happen, and it just hasn't happened. There's plenty of games out there, but none of them are really good. So I think those two are the ones that I would love to see show up in board game. Those two themes, yeah. Right now we're getting a bunch of Lord of the Rings games, which excites me. Of course, it's the new Pandemic System 1, Fate of the Fellowship, coming later this year. I think it was the summer it was spoken to come. So excited about that. Just excited about all the news in the Lord of the Rings one that could grow. And what I think, as I said, what I like the most about that is the fact that they showcase you don't need the big Lord of the Rings experience. And I'm hoping Star Wars will learn from that more. I know that there are some of the smaller games, but the ones you really hear about are Rebellion or X-Wing or the Outer Rim, which are bigger, more expensive, longer games. So hopefully they see this with Lord of the Rings and create these smaller games. You know, Pandemic was a smaller game. It still takes a little while, but was a smaller, more easy game. And I have a dual game over here, and there's the deck building games. They are developing it. Hopefully there will be some shorter games in the future. But for now, that is my list of top 10 themes. I'm snorting a little bit, I'm a little bit sick, but I will try and upload it, edit it, and get it uploaded and everything, and I hope that you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!